The Benjamin Franklin Bridge opened on July 1st, 1926. Planning of the bridge began in 1920 when the Delaware River Port Authority appointed Polish engineer Ralph Majewski as the chief engineer. Prior to its opening, the cities of Philadelphia and Camden had to rely on Cooper's ferry system to transport citizens across the Delaware. With the perfection of the assembly line by Henry Ford, the increasing populations of Philadelphia and Camden, and the added stress on the ferry system, citizens needed an efficient means of crossing the Delaware. The best economic site chosen by the Board of Engineers was 6th and Ray Streets in Philadelphia and 2nd and Pearl Streets in Camden. This location was chosen for it had the best traffic pattern, the least harmful community impact, and the least cost. The initial plan called for 6 lanes for vehicles, composed of 4 rapid transit lines and 2 walkways. The plan, of course, called for approaches which would lead onto the bridge, running between 5th and 6th Streets and Race and Vine Streets in Philadelphia, and from Delaware Avenue to 3rd Street in between Birch and Pearl Streets in Camden. The bridge could not be immediately constructed, for many commercial, residential, and other sundry properties had to first be destroyed. Among the many were Wilbur's Chocolate and Pier 11 in Philadelphia. St. George's Church, the oldest Methodist church in the world, which dates back to 1769, was originally in the way of the proposed bridge, but a public uproar led to a court battle which forced Majewski to move the plans 14 feet from the bridge. St. Augustine's Church, the oldest Augustinian church in Philadelphia, which dates back to 1796, was also nestled at the base of the bridge, and in 1992, the top of the church blew off onto the bridge, closing for 3 days. The construction of the bridge itself would begin on January 1st, 1922, the first task being to lay the 2 foundations which were created by caissons. A caisson, a large box, was filled with cement and sunk to the riverbed. The bottom of the caisson contained a knife-cutting edge which enabled the digging into the riverbed. Men called sand hogs would work in a chamber in the caisson, taking mud and riverbed matter out of the caisson. Along with the caissons, there would be 2 anchorages as well, one in Camden and one in Philadelphia. The wires from the bridge would loop around the steel eyebrows of the anchorage and would resist the pull of the bridge's main gables. The length between the anchorages was 3,536 feet. After the caisson reached bed, the foundations for the 2 main towers could be built. 1 month after the towers were completed and the first 12 wires were hoisted on the towers, wires were used to create the footwalks. These footwalks were completed 6 weeks after the initial 12 wires were hoisted. Following the initial wires and the footwalks, the 2 main cables could finally be installed. These cables were extremely heavy and were built up and composed of 18,666 wires each. On August 8, 1924, members of the Delaware River Bridge Joint Commission made the first official crossing on the footwalk. The local radio, WLIT, broadcasted the ceremony, which included speeches by Majewski and politicians. Installation of the 1,750-foot main span began on March 1925. The main span was first installed adjacent to the towers, and it would span from the towers to the midspan and from the midspan to the anchorages. The finished product weighed about 720,000 tons. The opening of the Delaware River Bridge took place on July 1st, 1926. Approximately 100,000 citizens crossed the bridge, and on July 2nd, 1926, there were 3,850 cars that crossed in the first hour. The total cost was $37,103,765.42, half coming from New Jersey and half coming from Pennsylvania. Originally, Philadelphia did not want tolls, but eventually the city listened to the people who were in favor. There were initially 6 tolls, 25 cents for a car, 15 cents for a horse, and 30 cents for a horse-drawn carriage. On July 1st, 1951, the citizens of Pennsylvania and New Jersey celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Delaware River Bridge. The 2 states joined together in celebration of this wonderful achievement that had been built 25 years earlier. In 1956, the bridge was officially renamed the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, and the ceremony was held on January 7, 1956, on Benjamin Franklin's birthday. One of the most well-known and important expansions to the bridge was the creation of the Patco high-speed line, which took nearly 5 years. The first train opened to the public ran on February 15, 1969, and the entire length of the rail line was 14 2/10 of a mile. In September of 1987, lights were finally added to the bridge. United States President Ronald Reagan was asked to turn them on for the first time, and these magnificent lights brought a whole new atmosphere to the bridge as they stood out as a new and exciting aspect of an already dynamic city. On July 1st, 2001, the Delaware River Port Authority celebrated the 75th anniversary of the Benjamin Franklin Bridge by closing the roadway to all but pedestrian traffic. Thousands of people showed up for the ceremony, some even dressed in 1920s attire. The most important thing about the bridge is to understand how it has affected the growth of the cities of Philadelphia and Camden. After it was open, companies, especially Campbell's Soup, can now easily ship products to Philadelphia and other cities. This allowed employees to live on the other side of the river if they chose to. Drivers could now easily cross the bridge whenever they wanted to, and businesses could now expand since there would be more employees available from across the river to work. A simple but prominent impact of the bridge was that it connected many major roads. The bridge allowed connection to Race and Vine Streets, the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, the Schuylkill Expressway, I-95 and Pennsylvania Turnpike, the Admiral Wilson Boulevard, I-676, and the New Jersey Turnpike and shore routes. From Camden, the Benjamin Franklin Bridge offers connections to almost any part of Philadelphia. The bridge also provided easy access to the New Jersey shore and allowed Atlantic City, Ocean City, Wildwood, and Avalon, among others, to thrive. Vacationers can now simply drive to the shore rather than take a ferry and another means of transportation. The two cities have grown to be major business production centers, and Philadelphia especially has become a major tourist attraction city thanks to the traffic the bridge allows. Although there are now many bridges that cross over the Delaware, the Benjamin Franklin Bridge was the first to do so and set the standard in America for suspension bridges. Philadelphia and Camden, as well as all travelers on the many roads it connects, have much thanks to give to the 1,750-foot bridge. It is surely a staple of Philadelphia and Camden local history.